Russians, it looks like to me, did interfere in our elections. We'll never be able to decide whether they changed the outcome. But I tell you, having worked in the CIA, if we had been caught interfering in European elections or Asian elections or anywhere in the world, those countries would call for new elections, and any democracy would. And I don't see it any other way. I mean, the Electoral College before the 19th has got to know whether the Russians had an effect, whether they went to WikiLeaks, whether they hacked email, and whether they affected American opinion. And they had a good reason not to go after Hillary Clinton, because Putin hates her for the Ukraine.
So, Bob, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying we should have another election? How would that work? Is that plausible?
When a foreign country interferes in your election and the outcome is in doubt and legitimacy of the government, I don't know how it worked constitutionally. I'm not a lawyer, constitutional lawyer, but I'm deeply disturbed by the fact that the Russians interfered. And I would like to see the evidence, because if the evidence is there, I don't see any other way than to vote again. I mean, as an American citizen.
Maybe if there's evidence of anthrax and mobile weapons trucks in Iraq, we should invade again. Or maybe if Kennedy gets his head blown off and the CIA tells us they didn't do it, we should believe them. The CIA are trained, known liars at the level of Bob Baer. And they work for the president, supposedly. And so they're still working for Obama. So here comes a leftist darling of Hollywood that they make movies about, telling us that the Russians stole it, we should have new elections, but he wants to see the proof. So, let's talk about facts. There weren't 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people at these rallies, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them for Trump, but Hillary on average had 300 people. There weren't big lines of people around the block in exit polls saying they were going for Trump, but in some states he still lost. Oh, the recounts in a bunch of states Jill Stein put on for Hillary. What'd that do? It added more votes to Trump, just like you said. Got all these Democratic states admitting they're recruiting illegals to vote. Project Veritas got them on tape admitting it, but they're in the newspapers saying illegals should be able to vote. Then they play this mind game going, that's crazy racism. Nobody wants illegals to vote. No, you just passed it in 7 legislatures the last year. That's right, they passed it in a bunch of states to have illegals vote. But they tell you, no such thing's going on. Now, the laws never got past the governor because the governor goes, I want to do this, but federal law says I can't. Yeah, exactly. That's how mutinous these globalists are. They have hijacked the nation. They've taken it over. And then Bob Baer and all these other operatives and analysts are all over the news. Yeah, there's Bloomberg. Some cities want their non-citizen immigrants to vote. That's Bloomberg. Just search engine. Illinois passes out of the House bill to allow anyone who's in the U.S. to vote. They don't even call them illegals. Just non-citizens to vote. California passed it out of its House, and 5 other states. But, oh, there's no illegals voting. But listen, I'm digressing. Let me explain. I've studied history. You look at coup d'etats like the one they just had that they tried in Turkey that was then failed a few months ago. You see how third world countries are having them all the time. Germany's had them. Russia's had them. Look what happened with Yeltsin and Gorbachev. This is normal in history, especially when there's a big election that throws the party of power out. They thought they were going to win. They tried to steal it. It blew up in their face. And now they have a recount. Doesn't work. They try to get the electors to say that they're not going to go for Trump. But you see, there's not popular support for that. That will blow up in their face. So they've got to now float, he's a Russian operative, to create the illusion that, okay, it's okay that electors are going to stand up on the 19th in Congress and say, I'm not representing the votes of my state. I'm not representing those Electoral College numbers. I'm not bringing, say, the 15 Electoral College votes from this state or that state or the 30 of this state. I am going to just forfeit them. That's what they're going to say. They're already saying, we're not going to go to Hillary, we're just going to forfeit it. Well, if you take them away from Trump, then what are they going to say? Well, I guess bring Hillary back, she's back in. That's how crazy they are. And Trump, until 2 weeks ago, was like, that's ridiculous. They'll never get away with that. But then notice he had to come out and say, wait a minute, a bunch of illegals voted too. I really won the popular vote, which he clearly did. Now with the recount, it proves it. They're trying to undermine. But let me tell you something. They wouldn't have Mr. Baer crawling out from under a rock with his little sweetsy, believable little puppy dog face. Oh, my goodness. We better have a new election. I'm just a nice little man over here. My job's overthrowing elected governments. Oh, gee, we better do something. I'm wearing my little CIA windbreaker, non-threatening little jacket here. I'm a nice little man. The good news is the entire military, I mean like 90% is awake. The FBI is awake. Most of the people in the 15 different intelligence agencies are awake. And most importantly, the HUMET is awake, the American people. And the open source knowledge is that we know we have criminal liars. But it gets more powerful than that. Mika Brzezinski, to her credit, daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, one of the most evil modern men that's still alive. One of the most evil living people, in my view. Total globalist. She came out and admitted, look, and so did Scarborough, look, Hillary didn't lose because of fake news. She lost because of her record. And when we were mildly critical of her, we had the Clintons call up and put pressure on our bosses, basically threatening to fire us. I have that clip. I'm going to play it after the break. But you think about that. That's up on Infowars.com. In an article titled, Fake News Isn't What Determined Election, Morning Joe. That's a powerful headline, but it should be Morning Joe host. Clinton put pressure on us to shut us up, or Clinton censored us. I mean, that is huge. That's in all the WikiLeaks. That's in the WikiLeaks, from everything from Comedy Central to MSNBC to CNBC to CNN to CBS. They fired reporters at CBS that exposed. Fast and Furious. So here's the big news. A lot of data goes into this, but they are trying to put this out and put out this secret intelligence report to pass around to foreign governments, because when you kill a head of state or you carry out a terror attack on your own soil as a false flag, you generally use foreign intelligence agencies to have total plausible deniability and compartmentalization, or private mercenary groups. And I can tell you, looking at the constellation of data, just like I did 2 months before 9/11 when I said they're going to blow up the World Trade Center, blame it on their asset bin Laden, and bring in a tyranny and launch a bunch of wars, I can tell you, looking at all the data, that they are going to come out and basically foment ideology and ideas and propaganda to try to get lone nuts to try to kill Trump. And that's all over the news, for everything from Newsweek to Time to the New York Times, the LA Times, to you name it, saying somebody needs to kill Trump, kill Trump. They had one guy go with a gun and try to kill him, admittedly, and a lot of other scares. And so understand, our country's under attack by a lot of multinational interests that have their own former military people, their own spooks, their own spies, their own operatives. They're pissed that America's coming back, that they're not going to get to run us in the ground and sell us out anymore. They're upset about the prosperity message. It's the opposite of the globalist message of austerity. They believe they're undefeated. They believe they can take Trump out, and they are really scared right now because, in the words of Fox News host Mr. Williams, we're already seeing what I'm calling, what he's calling, what others are calling, beyond the Trump effect. We're calling it the Trump way. And he's already acting more presidential than Obama. He's already done more in 30-something days as president-elect than Obama did in 8 years. And they're not going to let him get into office if they have their way. They are, I guarantee you, developing the hit teams right now with the weird claim that it was an illegitimate election, there's been a Russian coup to kill Donald Trump. I know they're planning it.
Our fellow info warriors across the United States and across the planet really love the Hillary for Prison 2016 shirts that we began to put out in 2015. It became a global meme against globalism and corruption, and a very strong maxim that's now being continued on today. So we now have George Soros, because the media attacked me on this whole goblin meme, and they've made huge jokes about it, but it's totally blown up in their face. We now have George Soros as a goblin on the back, and it says, with a cross through him, an X like Ghostbusters, no Soros, him as a goblin. It says deport Soros on the bottom, and on the top it says InfoWars established 1996. So it is a limited edition, deport Soros on the back, Hillary for Prison on the front, right-hand shoulder, Infowars.com. It's powerful. Hope you get out to everybody you know. Infowarsstore.com, or call 888-253-3139.